My beloved child, I speak to you now, because tomorrow may no longer hold gentleness for those who choose to keep sleeping in that sweet, velvety darkness. There are things wrapped in silk, strewn with flowers, carrying a pleasant fragrance, and yet inside them is a cord slowly winding itself around your soul. Do not let your feet go any deeper into that seemingly harmless shadowed place, because the slight deviation of today is the steep hillside of tomorrow. You do not see it, but I see it very clearly. There are fleeting joys that are quietly weakening your heart bit by bit, making you think you are still in control of everything. You believe you are lucid enough, strong enough, mature enough to discern what you should step into, yet it is precisely the things that feel, "It's fine, nothing's wrong," that are silently leading you out of the light I have prepared for you. I am calling you back, not because I want you to be afraid, but because I see what your eyes have not yet perceived. The small but persistent misalignments, the choices that seem insignificant but are slowly redirecting the entire course of your life. You think you are just stopping to rest for a moment, but hesitation has a habit of hooking itself into unguarded hearts. Each time you slow down before, my word, the darkness moves one step closer. And you keep telling yourself you are just taking a short break, that tomorrow you'll start again, tomorrow you'll set everything right. But you do not realize that this tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone. I have seen many souls lose their golden hour simply because they believed they still had plenty of time. I do not want that to happen to you. I call out to you because I know there is still light in you. It is just that you have allowed too many things to crowd in and blur my voice. You are trying to reconcile everything, to keep the light, but not let go of what is pulling you down. You cover up old wounds because you think they have already grown quiet, yet they are still bleeding silently underneath, and it is right there that the deceiver finds his way in. I want you strong, but to be truly strong you must let me touch the places you don't want anyone to see. I do not come to accuse, I come to heal. My child, the things that make you step back from me are not always loud or obvious. They often arrive like sounds soft as breath, a message that seems harmless, an invitation that feels like mere politeness, a light conversation that gently nudges your soul away from the direction of my heart. These traps do not put up warning signs, they do not scream to frighten you, they only whisper, touching exactly the weak points, the hidden desires, the moments when you are at your most weary. I see the hook behind the things you call beautiful opportunities. There are people who step into your life with a gentle smile, yet they carry cords of bondage you have not recognized. There are projects, invitations, relationships that make you feel supported, but in reality they are leading you into dependence and stripping away the peace I have given you. Bait always tastes sweet before it reveals its true shape, and darkness is never in a hurry. It only needs you to lean a little, then a little more, until you are convinced you are still fine while your feet have already wandered far from the path of my choosing. You do not realize it, but every time you allow yourself to ignore a small warning, a thin layer of dust settles over your spiritual eyes. I, however, see clearly. There are things you consider harmless that are in fact the very seeds that will one day grow into a trap. I awaken you not so that you live in anxiety, but so you understand that truth always runs deeper than what human eyes can see. My child, there are things that do not enter your life in a terrifying form, but as the faintest breeze, just enough to tilt your heart a little. They do not rush in to attack you, they simply hide behind casual conversations, early expressions of concern that seem to carry no agenda. You assume your heart is as steady as stone, but it is often the quietest things that make it easiest for your heart to open its doors without guarding itself. I see every small doorway through which the darkness slips in, while you still call them just normal things. I tell you this, not to frighten you, but to keep you from the fine, fragile cords already wrapping around you, unseen by your own eyes. There are footsteps that look accidental, but in truth, they are slowly carrying you away from me, little by little. I want you to understand this. A trap does not need to be dazzling. It only needs to appear at the moment when you are weakest. When you are tired, you are more likely to open the door to anything that looks comforting, even if it does not come from me. When you are lonely, you are more inclined to grasp any hand held out to you, even if that hand is not what I have prepared for you. When you are lacking vigilance, you easily confuse good intentions with hidden motives, a smile with a snare, concern with control. And when you grow accustomed to that fake gentleness, you no longer hear my voice clearly. You are not evil. You are simply unguarded before the things that approach you in soft, sweet disguise. Do you remember the story of Gehazi? Many only see it as a story about greed, but I want you to look at the nature of the trap. It did not come with some gross, shocking temptation. Naaman only wanted to give a small gift, and to Gehazi it seemed like a kind, harmless gesture. A gift, a token of thanks, a small opportunity. Nothing scary there. Yet it was precisely that apparent reasonableness that blinded him, making him believe that accepting just a little would not affect anything. I allowed that story to remain in the scriptures to remind you, a trap almost never shows up in a monstrous form. It is wrapped in politeness, in a feeling your soul finds very easy to welcome. Darkness does not need to make you fall all at once. It only wants you to drift off by the smallest angle first. That tiny tilt convinces you that you are still in control, still awake, still totally fine. But you do not see that the further you go, the wider that angle becomes. Darkness knows your heart still loves me, so it will not shatter you with loud crashes. Instead, it makes you just a bit busier, a bit more exhausted, a bit less prayerful, a bit more relaxed in your watchfulness. You call it temporary, but darkness calls it the beginning. And I see clearly. No matter how thin a cord may be, if it wraps around a soul long enough, it will bind it. There are things you consider a small reward for yourself, but they are actually the bait for future bondages. There are relationships that make you feel heard and understood, yet they are pulling your soul away from the peace I designed for you. There are opportunities that look favorable, but behind them are demands that will cost you the freedom you have in me. I do not blame you for unintentionally stepping into these half-light, half-shadow places, because darkness always chooses the most delicate moments to approach. But I want you to know that sometimes you are standing on a very thin boundary, and one small step can push you into a place you never thought you would go. I am calling you back, not to strip away your joy, but to restore to you the peace that nothing in this life can replace. My dear one, I see the things you are clinging to, thinking they help you feel more at ease, while in truth, they are weighing your soul down day by day. I want you to stop before those fleeting pleasures harden into burdens you can no longer loosen. I have not come to forbid, but to protect. Let me lead you out of that gray zone, so your heart may become lighter again, clearer again, and shine once more, like it did when I first formed you. I know you have been strong for a very long time, and sometimes it is precisely because you are strong that you do not dare admit you are tired. Yet when you are weary, that is when the trap tightens most. You will be more prone to embrace anything that brings quick relief, even if it was never meant for you. Do not condemn yourself. Every one of my children has weaknesses. All I long for is that you let me shield those weaknesses, instead of covering them with pleasant but misguided choices. You do not have to keep bracing yourself anymore. I am here to hold your hand, not to scrutinize you, but to lift you up. I want to tell you this gently. Many are not ensnared because they are too weak, but because they believe they still have plenty of time to correct their course. They say, I'll look at it tomorrow, I'll adjust tomorrow, I'll stop tomorrow. But it is exactly that, tomorrow, that becomes the doorway darkness uses to drive the hook in deeper. I say this not to make you anxious, but to awaken your heart, because you too are standing before something you are planning to leave for tomorrow, and I know that tomorrow is not as spacious as you imagine. My beloved child, there are things that do not harm your soul by a direct attack, but by a delay, as light as dew resting on a leaf. You do not realize it, but it is in the very moments when you sigh and say, "I'll think about it tomorrow. I'll do it in a bit." There's no rush. That darkness finds a crack through which to enter. I do not rebuke you, because I know you do not mean to. I know you go through long days, weary and heavy with pressure. I understand that sometimes you just want to pause for a while. Yet it is precisely in that pause that another hand, not mine, is inviting you to lay your burden down in a place where you were never meant to stop. You think you are still walking on the right path, only at a slower pace. But I see clearly how each slow, dragging step is gently pulling your soul away from the obedience I planted in your heart from the very beginning. There are things you have heard me repeat to you many times, but in your heart you softly answer, "I know already. I'll do it when I have time." You think it is only a rearranging of priorities. But, my child, before me, priority is not measured by your schedule, but by where I stand in your heart. When what I have asked you to do becomes something you do only when you are free, you have unknowingly given darkness a reason to whisper in your ear, "There is no need to hurry," and it is very patient. My child, once you delay it the first time, it will murmur again so that you delay a second time. By the third time, it gently lays a hand on your shoulder and says, "It's late now, just leave it for another day." I look at you, and I know, it is not that you are weak, but that you are exhausted. In a battle you thought you did not need to fight. Sometimes you comfort yourself by thinking that hesitation is not dangerous, because you still love me, you still believe in me, you still turn toward me. But love that is not acted upon becomes fragile before the temptation of delay. A heart that turns toward me but does not walk with me can easily be swept away from the path I have prepared for you. I see the days when you set an alarm to pray, then turn it off and tell yourself, "I'll pray in a little while." I hear the words you whisper inside, that you will correct what is wrong on another day, even though deep down you know I am urging you to do it now. I know every time you choose postponement because you are afraid to face something, afraid of loss, afraid of letting go, afraid of not being ready. I do not blame you, but I long for you to look deeper. Every time you let hesitation win, my voice is pushed a little further back. Do you realize that the trap of procrastination is always so polite, so gentle, so easy to accept? It never says, "Do not listen to him." No, it only whispers, "You can listen later." It does not tell you to resist me. It only lays a soft pillow under your soul and says, "Just rest a bit." It is precisely that softness that lowers your guard. It is that innocent appearance that makes you believe you still have plenty of time. Yet you do not know that those small, quiet choices become invisible agreements between you and the darkness. I see them clearly, while you think you have signed nothing at all. Remember this, my child. Tomorrow does not always wait for you the way you imagine. There are things I urge you to do today because the door of today is opened for the purpose of today. If you let it pass, that opportunity may not be there tomorrow. I do not threaten you, but I want you to understand that delay does not only waste time. Sometimes it causes you to miss the very grace I poured into a moment I had arranged for you. Just one misplaced slow step can lead your soul onto a turning that was never meant for you. One small step, if taken too late, can leave you standing in the wrong place, meeting the wrong people, listening to the wrong call. It is like a driver on a mountain road who only thinks, "I'll check the brakes tomorrow," while the car is already rolling toward a dangerous slope. It is not that he does not know about maintenance. He simply believes it can be done later, and that later never comes in time. You see, tragedy does not always come from a bad action, but from a good action, postponed. Delay always comes dressed in something pleasant, and it is that very pleasantness that makes you careless. Do you know why darkness prefers procrastination to direct temptation? Because it knows your heart loves what is good, loves the light, loves me. It knows that if it reveals itself openly, you will resist it. But if it can keep you from acting, from stepping forward, from responding at once, you will remain standing still until the path of light behind you is blurred by thin layers of mist. Standing still is not neutral. Standing still means being carried along by the force of things you did not choose. Your soul is like a boat. If you do not row toward the harbor, the current will quietly carry you farther away. You still think that hesitation is just a personality trait, but I see deeper. It is a strategy. I see that the enemy does not need to collapse you all at once. It only needs to slow you down. Just a little slower in prayer. Just a little slower in breaking away from what is wrong. Just a little slower in asking someone for forgiveness when I nudge you. Just a little slower in turning away from something when I urge you to. A little slower again when I ask you to put your heart in order. And then, very naturally, slow becomes familiar. Familiar becomes habit, and habit becomes bondage. I did not create you to live by, dragging yourself along. I created you to walk in the vitality, strength, and sharpness of my spirit. But I also know there will be days when you have no strength left to do the right thing immediately. And precisely because I know that, I speak to you in the gentlest voice. Do not let darkness use your weariness to soften the invitation it brings. There are moments when I see you wanting to get up, yet the heaviness makes you sit back down. You intend to try in a little while, but a little while becomes later, and later becomes tomorrow. And in that chain of days, you do not realize that you have drifted far enough from me, that your heart no longer feels the first calling as it once did. I do not blame you for being tired, but I am saddened when I see you letting your weariness pull you away from me instead of letting me lift you out of your fatigue. Come closer to me, my child. I do not ask you to become strong all at once. I only ask that you turn back as soon as I call. I only ask that you do the right thing the moment your heart hears my voice, even if it is the smallest of actions. Every time you respond at once, just in one small thing, you are breaking a link in the chain of procrastination. You do not need to change everything in a single day. You only need to choose the right moment. That moment itself is already a victory. I know there are things you are afraid to face. You delay not because you deliberately oppose me, but because you fear pain, fear losing someone, fear losing a relationship, fear losing your support. But my child, what I ask you to release is not so that you become empty and deprived, but so that you will not have to bear further wounds I already see ahead. Immediate obedience always leads to peace, even if at first you feel a hollow space. Delay always leads to confusion, even if at first you feel comfortable. And you know, when you procrastinate, you are not only slowing down with me, you are also opening a space for another voice to enter, the voice of doubt, of fear, of self-condemnation, of confusion. The thicker those voices grow, the thinner mine seems to you. And when my voice feels thin, you no longer recognize what it is I want you to do now. Let me lift you up. Do not let my voice be traded away for hesitation. Do not let what is right become what is late. I do not come to scold you. I come to take your hand and draw you out of the delay that is wearing down your spirit. If you could see what I see ahead, you would not postpone even a single second. Because you do not see, you think you can afford to wait, but I see everything. I see what is coming, I see the doors I am opening, I see the traps that lie in wait, and I know exactly where you need to stand so that you are not wounded further. You do not need to understand it all. You only need to trust me enough to act now, and then you will discover something very sweet. The quicker you obey, the more clearly you hear me. The more clearly you hear, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the less you are drawn into the snare of procrastination. The less you delay, the deeper you step into the peace I have prepared especially for you. My child, I am calling you back, not back to heavy responsibilities, but back to the first steps you once took with me. Simple, light, clear, and full of love. You do not need to be perfect, you only need to begin now. And when you dare to begin, even while your heart is still trembling, that is also when I prepare a new place for you, a place where darkness will no longer be able to rob you through hesitation. You will understand, very soon, that there are things you cannot save for tomorrow, and that very awareness will open your heart to what I am about to say to you next, the reason why you cannot hold on to the light and still cling to the darkness in your pake hands. My child, there are moments when I look at you and I see in your heart something I cherish deeply. You truly want to do what pleases me. You do not refuse me. You do not reject me. You do not abandon me. You still read my word. You still pray. You still long to live beautifully in the light I give. But in that very same place in your heart, I also see you holding on to a few things so small, yet enough to pull you against the direction of my light. You still want to walk with me, but you also want to keep a private corner for old habits, for relationships that do not yet belong to me, for thoughts you know do not agree with the light, but you have not yet had the courage to lay down. I see you dividing your heart into two parts, one for me, very sincere, the other for the things I am calling you to leave behind. You are not intentionally rebelling, you are only trying to keep everything in balance, but, my beloved, light can never stand side by side with darkness in a closed room. Light does not compete. Light simply is, and darkness dissolves on its own. Yet, when you try to keep both, you do not allow the light to complete its work. I long to brighten your life, but you leave one small corner unopened. Just one dark corner, yet it is enough to preserve the old voices that once made you weary, once made you cry, once led you astray. You say you want to step into freedom, yet you still keep the key to the old room in your hand. You say you want peace, yet you still leave the door open to things that do not bring peace. I look and I know, it is not that you do not want me, it is that you have not yet dared to let go of everything. Sometimes you think you can reconcile the two, a little light to quiet your soul, a little of the old to satisfy your feelings, but no one can play on the boundary without leaning to one side. I see the times you try to hide a tiny thing from me in your heart, like a child hiding a piece of candy behind their back for fear of being reminded to eat less. You do not understand that when I speak, it is not to take from you, but to save you from what will ruin your whole path. Darkness does not need to take everything. It only needs a corner where it can cling, and once it clings, it will pull the rest along. There are things you tell yourself, it's not time to let this go yet. I'll change slowly. It's not entirely bad. When I hear you say that, it hurts me. Not because you are deliberately arguing with me, but because I know that those very not yet are slowly eating away at your will. I want you to understand, not everything you hold on to is wrong, but some things are no longer appropriate for the journey I am leading you on. A beautiful garment must still be laid aside when it no longer fits. A familiar road must still be turned away from when I know there is a chasm ahead that you cannot see. You cling because you are afraid of losing. I ask you to release because I know how much better what lies ahead will be. There are relationships that make you laugh, yet drain your spiritual strength. There are conversations that make you feel heard, yet leave your heart heavier and dimmer afterward. There are contents, habits, choices about which you say, it's okay, because they do not harm you immediately, but you do not see how they quietly wear down your spiritual sensitivity. You begin to find it hard to hear my voice. You begin to feel confused about things that once were clear. You begin to waver in what you once knew was right. Darkness does not drag you down with a storm. It swallows you through this slow drip of mixture. I know you do not like being separated from what is familiar. You are accustomed to old ways of thinking, to convenience, to quick comfort, to the things that make you feel less empty. And letting go of those familiar things feels like tearing away a part of yourself you have clung to for a long time. But, my beloved, my pruning is never punishment. It is healing. A doctor does not remove a necrotic part to make the patient suffer more. He does it to preserve what is still alive. In the same way, I do not want to cut anything away in you merely to test you. I cut because I know that if I do not, the very things you are holding on to will make your soul sick. Do you remember the story of King Solomon? A man whom I endowed with wisdom above all others, a man who began with a beautiful heart, with a longing to live in my light. But look closely. Solomon did not fall because of ugly things. He stumbled over what seemed gentle, pleasant, and not that serious, small ties with foreign peoples. It was not that he openly opposed me. He simply kept just a little for himself, just one strange place of worship, just one among many women, just one small habit that did not belong to me. But all those little things gathered together and drew his heart away from me. No one loses me in a single night. People drift from me through small things, through subtle compromises, until their heart no longer recognizes my voice. I do not tell you this story to frighten you, but to help you see that you are not alone in this inner struggle. Even the wisest person once was defeated simply because he thought keeping just a small part back would be harmless. I want to protect you from what has wounded so many who have gone before you. I want you stronger, more steadfast, more wise, not only in understanding, but in spiritual decisiveness. Do you think I am asking too much of you? No, my beloved. I am not demanding. I am delivering you. What you call keeping something back just in case I feel empty is exactly what keeps you empty. What you delay surrendering because you fear discomfort is exactly what makes you uncomfortable day after day. I do not take away your joy. I only take away what pretends to be joy. I do not take away your comfort. I only remove what has kept leading you to the edge of a deep pit without your knowing. I want you to grasp something very important. The mixture of light and darkness does not make your life less extreme. It only keeps you from going far. You will find yourself forever in between, forever unfinished, never fully breaking forth, never truly living out the capacity I have planted in you. You will always feel both enough and yet lacking, close to me yet not quite touching, hearing me yet with a voice not strong enough to turn your life around. It is not that you are weak. You are simply dividing your strength in two directions. Have you ever wondered why your heart is sometimes restless even when everything on the outside seems fine? It is because your spirit is being pulled in two directions. One side is me, full of light, full of truth, full of peace. The other side is made up of the things I have already called you to release. They bring you instant relief, but they wear your heart down day by day. No one can sing two songs at the same time. No one can walk in two directions at once. No one can hold two breaths in the same chest. And your soul is the same. My beloved, I do not blame you for not yet being able to let everything go. I only want you to know that I see. I am not angry with you. My heart aches for you. I know there are things you hold on to not because you love them, but because you think you have no other choice. You hold on to a connection because you are afraid of being alone. You hold on to a habit because it helps you briefly forget your fatigue. You hold on to a thought because it once helped you survive an earlier season. But do not confuse what helped you survive with what will help you truly live. Not everything that once helped you get through deserves to follow you into the future. I long to touch the corners you are hiding. You intend to lock them away because you fear pain, but you do not realize that I, myself, am the one who heals that very pain. You think that if you open up, you will be weak. But opening up to me is not weakness, it is coming home. I want to step into the dark room you have grown used to living in for many years. I do not come to scold you, I come to turn on the light. Once the light comes in, you will clearly see what you should keep and what you should release without having to force yourself. Let me close the doors you have not dared to touch. Do not leave them only half shut. Even a small gap is enough for the darkness to pour in. You think a small door does not matter, but you forget that a flood needs only a crack. Darkness is the same, it does not need a wide open gate. It only needs the door you are afraid to lock. I know there are times when you are afraid of loss. You think that if you let go, you will feel empty and left hanging. But my beloved, that sense of emptiness is not a punishment. It is the space I deliberately create so that I can pour myself into your life. If you never feel that empty space, there will be no room for me to give you what is new. If you do not let go, you cannot receive. You are not losing anything. You are only exchanging it in order to receive something greater. Be still for a moment and hear me say this. You do not have to cut things off by yourself. I am here. I do it together with you. I carry you through the places you are afraid to step into. I tend the torn places when you feel empty. I do not leave you standing alone in front of loss. I stand with you, take your hand, and lead you on like a father who never leaves your side. You will see that as you begin to release things one by one, the light within you will grow stronger. You will hear me more clearly. You will no longer confuse your own emotions with the whispers of darkness. You will be strengthened. You will stand upright again. You will know who you truly are. You will no longer live in the gray zone. And very naturally, your heart will open to what I am about to say next to you, for there are old pains you have not released, not because you want to hold on to them, but because they are still speaking to you. It is time for me to touch those wounds. My child, there are things you carry not because you want to keep them, but because they have been there so long that you have come to believe they are part of your very structure. Old pains, injuries you thought had faded, memories you no longer mention but that still make your heart tighten whenever they are touched. You do not speak of them, but I see. I see the sorrow hidden beneath your smile. I see the guarded look in your eyes when you meet someone who resembles the one who once hurt you. I see the way you shrink back when you are afraid the same wound will be repeated. You think you have moved on, but in truth you have only put it away in a dark drawer and turned the key. Yet, my child, that door is not tightly locked. Every wound that has not been touched by me becomes a small opening through which darkness can slip in to whisper, and it always whispers right into the sorest place in you. I have such deep compassion for you when you have to live with lies disguised as your own thoughts. Words like, I am useless, I am worthless, I am always abandoned, everyone eventually leaves. I do not deserve to be loved, are not your voice, and they are never mine. They are echoes passing through unhealed wounds, slipping through the folds of pains you thought had fallen asleep. Darkness does not need a loud shout to bring a soul to its knees. It only needs to speak softly at the very place where your heart once cracked, and each time it whispers, you mistake it for truth. You wonder why it is so hard to believe what I say when I call you precious, chosen, beloved, yet so easy to believe words that pierce your heart like a blade. I do not blame you, because I know, when a person is hurting, they rarely notice who is whispering beside them. They only hear what strikes straight at their deepest fear. You have areas of memory you always avoid. I know, there are stories you dare not tell again, because you are afraid that if you open them up, you will collapse right where you stand. There are people, events, and words from the past that make your eyes sting with tears at the mere thought of them. You never share this with anyone, but I see the nights you toss and turn because of a wound you thought had closed. I hear the sighs you press down so that no one will know how fragile you feel. I see the way you keep yourself busy just so you can forget. But forgetting is not healing. Forgetting is only putting a bandage over a cut that has never been cleaned. Then one day, when some small situation arises, that wound breaks open and bleeds again, and you feel as if you have gone back to the starting point. But my child, that wound has not made you weaker. It is simply crying out to be touched, to be healed by my hand. Do you know why unhealed wounds are the places darkness loves to frequent most? Because that is where you are most likely to believe what is false. A person who has been betrayed finds it very easy to believe they are not worth protecting. A person who has been rejected finds it very easy to believe they are never good enough. A person who has been hurt by love finds it very easy to lock up their heart and believe that no one is ever sincere. You carry layers of memory within you, and when they have not yet been healed by me, you are prone to see the present through the lens of the past. You react more strongly than the situation calls for. You defend yourself more than is necessary. You stay on guard against things that are not truly dangerous. And these very reactions wear you out, making you think you are too broken, beyond repair, not like other people. But you are not ruined. You are simply not yet healed. I do not stand outside your life to judge you. I stand right beside you at every moment when each wound is made. I see the first tear you tried to hide. I see the endurance you grit your teeth to maintain. I see the disappointment when you want to trust but are afraid to. I see the breaking places you never tell anyone about. I see it all, and I do not turn my face away for even a second. Do you think I want you to be strong from beginning to end? No, I want you to be real. Real about your wounds, real about your fears, real about your longing to be touched. Because only when you dare to open the door for me to come in can I reach down to the very root of what is making you tremble. Do you remember the story of Rizpah in the Bible? A woman no one paid attention to, living among a people in turmoil, yet carrying within her a forgotten grief. Rizpah kept the bodies of her 2 sons who had been killed and would not allow any bird to come near them. It was not because she was strong, it was because she was in pain. That pain kept her watching over them for months, until, at last, her story reached the ears of King David. And the strange thing is this: it was precisely because that pain was brought into the open that an entire nation was changed. No one would have imagined that a quiet woman in the shadows would open the way for a process of restoration for a whole country. Do you see? When pain is brought into the light, it does not make you weaker, it sets you free. Only when pain is seen can healing begin. I know you think that if you open those wounds, you will shatter. But I did not come to watch you fall apart. I came to hold you while you are falling apart. When you cry, I do not tell you to stop. When you tremble, I do not tell you to be strong. When you remember and it hurts, I do not tell you to get over it. I lay my hand on your shoulder, steady you where you stand, and whisper softly, I am here. And when I am there, the pain is no longer a burden. It becomes a doorway, leading you into the place where I heal you at the root. Do not misunderstand and think that I want you to expose your pain so that I can touch you once and then leave. No, I walk with you through every layer of it. I peel back each layer you have wrapped around yourself just so you could survive. I patiently loosen each knot, each tangle, each old door. No rushing, no forcing, no pushing. I move at your pace and do not leave you behind. A father never drives his child into what terrifies them. I am gentle with you not because you are weak, but because your wounds need tenderness. Strength comes after gentleness has touched first. Do you know what grieves me the most? Not your wounds, but but the fact that you think I will be ashamed of you because of them. You think I only want the beautiful parts of you, the parts you feel are worthy of me. But my beloved, I want all of you, even the dark corners you hide from others. I am the only one who can touch the place of your deepest shame without making you afraid. You do not have to play the strong one. You do not have to prove that you are fine. You only need to come to me, whole and honest, just as you are. I also want you to know this. If a wound is not healed, it will become the voice that makes choices in your place. You will choose the wrong people because you are afraid of being alone. You will reject what is right because you are afraid of failing. You will shut your heart because you are afraid of losing. You will step into situations you were never meant to enter simply because you are trying to fill the emptiness your wound has left behind. Pain that is not healed does not lie quietly, it takes control. And darkness knows this. It remembers every crack, every fall, every word you have ever heard. It touches those places whenever it wants to keep you in the shadows. But I say to you now, with the whole heart of a father, I will no longer allow that wound to be the name you answer to. You are not the abandoned one. You are not the failure. You are not the unworthy one. You are my child. I call you by your name. I place my own value in you, not the value your pain has tried to assign to you. And I want to heal every one of those wounds, not leaving a single one untouched. Let me step into the corners you have always avoided. Let me tear down the walls you built in order to survive. Let me lay my hand on the place that hurts the most. Do not be afraid that I will hurt you more. I touch only to heal, never to drive the wound deeper. A wound aches when it is opened, but that very moment is the beginning of restoration. You cannot heal a wound while it is covered. You can only heal it when it is brought into the light. When you allow me to touch you, I will pour oil, I will bind up, I will speak words to you that your pain has never spoken. I will remind you that you are chosen. I will remind you that you are loved. I will remind you that you are not abandoned, never have been, and never will be. I will remind you that what others have done is not the final truth about you. I will remind you that what you have gone through does not determine your future. I will remind you that you are not the product of your wounds. You are a work in progress being shaped by my own hand. You will gradually realize that every time you allow me to heal, the darkness loses one more place from which it can lie to you. Every wound that is closed becomes a door locked in its face. Every area restored is a piece of spiritual territory reclaimed, and your soul will no longer tremble before the things that once made you fall. When you are healed, you will be strong in ways you have never known. And precisely as you allow me to heal those deepest places, you will understand why the enemy has tried so hard to make you feel anonymous, small, and shrunken in your own voice. For it knows, once you are healed, you will speak. Once you speak, you will set others free. Once you stand, it can no longer touch your family. You are the doorway, the chosen one, the one who stands between light and darkness, and it is afraid of that. Here, I open the way for you to step into what I want to say next about your voice, about the worth you carry, about what the darkness has tried to extinguish in you. For if woundedness has silenced you, restoration will cause you to lift up your voice more powerfully than ever before. My child, there is something that grieves me, even more than unhealed wounds or the subtle traps you stumble into. It is when I see you living beneath the very image I placed within you from the beginning. You walk through life quietly, like a breath that is easily forgotten, yet inside you there is a call stronger than a storming sea. You speak softly, yet your soul was destined to shake the darkness. You live humbly, yet I have planted in your heart a seed of authority before which powers tremble when they see it. And yet, day after day, I see you living as though you have nothing to give, nothing to say, nothing to stand for, not because you do not have it, but because someone has whispered long enough for you to forget who you are. Do you know that the greatest danger is not that the enemy might take your strength? It cannot. The true danger is when it persuades you to shrink yourself, to shut your own mouth, to drop the identity that I, myself, have spoken over you. You may be strong, but if you believe you are weak, you will not use that strength. You may be chosen, but if you believe you are insignificant, you will not rise. You may carry my word in your mouth, but if you believe no one needs your voice, you will remain silent. And it is precisely that silence that the darkness longs for most. I hear every time you are about to say what is right, yet swallow it back down. I see every time you are about to pray out loud, yet you hold back for fear of disturbing someone. I know the moments when you feel a strong spiritual prompting within, yet you question, is that really you? You are not lacking a voice, you are lacking trust in that voice. I have given you the right to step into the light and to bring light to others, yet you keep yielding ground to fear, to insecurity, to the memories that once silenced you. And each time you remain silent, I see your heart wither just a little. I want you to understand something very important. The enemy is not afraid of your mere existence, but it is afraid of your voice. It is afraid of your prayers. It is afraid when you open your mouth. It is afraid when you choose to stand in the very place I have assigned you. It knows that if you speak, chains will break. If you speak, walls will tremble. If you speak, others will be delivered. If you speak, you yourself will awaken. And when you awaken, it has nowhere left to hide. That is why it does not mainly try to knock you down. It simply tries to keep you quiet. Do you remember the prophet Jeremiah? He was still very young when I called him, someone who did not yet know how to express the weight within his own heart. He trembled, afraid and hesitant, and said to me, I am too young, I do not know how to speak. But I told him that I had put my words in his mouth, and it was precisely that trembling that made him stronger. Jeremiah was not the one with the loudest voice. He was the one whose voice had been touched by me, and because of that, it could not be extinguished. So it is with you. You do not need to speak as eloquently as anyone else. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to pretend to be spiritually strong. Your voice needs only one thing, to be touched by me. When I touch your voice, it is no longer just a human sound. It becomes an echo in the spiritual realm. It can rouse a sleeping soul. It can push back the gloom. It can draw others back into life. But I also know there are reasons why you are silent. You are not silent because you do not want to speak. You are silent because you are afraid. You fear that people will think you are strange, that they will not believe you, that you will be compared, that you will be wrong, that you are not enough, that if you speak, you will be hurt, that you will misstep, that you will be despised again, as in days past. You are silent because your past has taught you to be used to silence. The harsh words once spoken over you have made you afraid to speak again. Old failures have made you hesitant to step into new territory. Every time you want to rise, a voice inside you, not mine, whispers, you are not worthy. And you sit back down. My beloved, I long to draw you into my arms and say this slowly. That voice is not your own, and it is certainly not mine. I have never called you small. I have never called you nameless. I have never called you worthless. I have never told you to be quiet. On the contrary, from the moment I formed you, I wrote your name into my story. I placed within you a voice that no one else can replace. I shaped your heart after my own likeness, not after the likeness of those who once made you fall. Look deeply at this. You do not live only for yourself. You are a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. There are people in your family who are being preserved only because you are standing in the gap. There are friends who hold on to a last thread of hope because of your quiet prayers. There are people being protected who do not even know that it is you whom I have set as a shield between them and the darkness. You are not merely someone who is getting by. You are a bearer of a calling. I want to say this to you gently yet with great force. When you are silent, it is not only you who lose those whom I long for you to touch, also lose with you. There are souls waiting for a single word from you, a word of comfort, a word of encouragement, a prayer, a reminder that I am still here. Others may not hear me, but they will hear you. You are the voice I choose to use in the midst of their lives. Yet I do not blame you for feeling small. You have been diminished by harsh words, by failures, by fears. I see the way you lower your head when someone speaks more forcefully than you. I see the way you keep silent even when your heart knows the truth. I see the way you suppress your own voice because you think you are not enough. I want to lift your face with my hand. I want to tell you that you are not small. You have simply forgotten the true stature of your soul. You were not created to hide in the shadows, but to stand in the light. Not to blend into the background, but to carry my breath wherever you walk. Not to remain silent, but to speak life. Not to live as one who is nameless, but to live as one whom I have called by name. Remember this, my beloved child. I do not need your perfection in order to use you. I need your willingness. I need your mouth to open when I prompt you. I need your heart to stay soft. I need you to believe that whatever I have placed inside you has a purpose. You were not placed in your family by accident. You did not appear in other people's lives by coincidence. You are the answer to someone's prayer. You are the light for some hidden corner of the dark. You are a witness for a soul that is searching for the way. You are the one I have called to carry hope into places where hope has long been dead. I am awakening the voice within you. That voice is not the sound of your past, not the sound of fear, not the sound of pain. That voice is my reflection in you. When you speak, I speak through you. When you stand, I stand within you. When you touch, I touch with you. I want you to know that what I am building in you will not look like anyone else. You are not a copy. You are not replaceable. You are not an echo of another. You are the unique tone I chose to place in the creation that bears your name. No one carries the same spiritual timbre as you. No one carries the same weight of life as you. No one has been entrusted with the same commission as you. And because of that, no one can speak in your place. When you begin to believe this, silence will fall from you like an old garment. You will find yourself standing taller. You will see strength rising from the very places where you once trembled. You will feel your heart fill with a new breath, my breath. You will see the words I whisper becoming a rising river that flows over your lips. You will find you are no longer afraid of what once made you shrink back. You will see yourself stepping out, big, clear, strong, exactly as I formed you to be. And when you are standing in your rightful place, the darkness knows it no longer has a claim over your family, over your generation, over your future. It knows you have awakened. It knows you have discovered who you are in me, my child. This is the moment I restore the name over you, the name you dropped on the days you lost your way. You are the voice of hope. You are the keeper of the flame for your household. You are the one chosen to stand in the gap. You are the one I called before you were ever born. You are no longer faceless. You are the one I have sent. I call you to rise, my beloved. And from here, I lead you into the final part of what I want to say. When you stand in your true identity, everything in your life will begin to turn, because the light within you will no longer be held back. It will spill over on its own and transform even the places where darkness thought it ruled. My dear one, I need to tell you this with all the tenderness, yet with all the gravity of the one who sees every turn your path will take. If you turn your face away from my words, you will step into a darkness whose depths you cannot imagine. Not because I wish to frighten you, but because I see clearly the road you cannot see. This choice is not like the small, passing choices you once brushed aside. This is a moment so weighty that heaven and hell both stand watching. You are standing on the line between life and loss, between the light that opens a way and the abyss that waits for a soul that will not awaken. I have opened before you a path blazing with light, but the darkness will also offer you another way, softer, easier, more comfortable, yet ending in emptiness, in breaking, and in losing yourself. I will not force you to choose me, but I cannot stand by and watch you slip away from what I have prepared for you with such care long before you were born. So I stretch out my hand toward you, so near that you need only move the slightest bit, and my hand will close fully around you. I whisper within your heart so you can hear my voice, even when the world is loud. I set my breath close to yours, so close that if you pause for a single moment, you will know I am right beside you. You are not as alone as you think. In the minutes you are weary, I am there. In the moments you are convinced no one understands, I understand completely. In the times you sit in a quiet room while your heart is in chaos, I see every ripple in your mind. You belong to me, this never changes, no matter how far you drift, because you belong to me. I will not let you wander too far without calling your name and drawing you back. Even if you stand in the middle of the night, my eyes still find you. Even if you fall silent in fear, my voice still threads its way through your layers of worry to reach the deepest place in your soul. I speak to you through dreams, through what you call coincidences, through the words of a stranger, through the gentle tug in your heart you cannot explain. All of these are my ways of assuring you that I have never left. I allow these traces to appear not to confuse you, but to let you know I am guiding each of your steps, even when you think you are walking alone. And because you belong to me, I will not stand still when I see something trying to devour you. I will shield you when you obey. I will make a way when you align yourself with me. I will rebuild the places in you that have fallen apart if you place your hand in mine. But my child, there are things in your hands that I see clearly are draining the life out of you, little by little. There are things you are holding to your chest as if they were your safe place, when in truth, they are the very reason you feel heavy, tired, and lost. I see you clinging to connections that do not belong to you, keeping conversations that seem harmless, but are in fact opening doors to patterns of thought that do not come from me. I see you feeding ideas that slowly pull your heart away from the peace I am trying to lead you back into. I do not condemn you for these things. I simply grieve that you are carrying a burden you were never meant to carry, a weight you would have never borne if you had allowed me to lay my hand on it sooner. I am showing you each thing, one by one, not to expose you or shame you, but so that you will know I long to loosen every knot that is tightening around your heart. I touch the things you are gripping, not to scold you, but to set you free. I do not come to analyze your faults, but to open a way of escape for your soul before the very things you are clutching pull you under with greater force. You think you can control these things, but, my beloved, there are chains that never show themselves on the first day. At first they feel as soft as a thread, but the longer you hold on, the tighter they become. I want you to let them go before they harden into shackles. I want you to step away from what is beautiful on the surface, but does not bring real life within. I want you to be strong enough to walk away from whatever is stealing the freedom I already gave you. But to step out, you must open your mouth and tell me that you are willing. Yes is not just a word, it is a choice. It is the moment you place my will above your own, not because you have lost, but because you trust that I will never lead you to a place where you end up in ruin. When you say yes, you are giving me permission to close doors you cannot close by yourself, to cut ties you are not strong enough to cut, and to bind up places you thought had grown numb but are still hurting. When you say yes, you lay down your heavy load to receive what is lighter, brighter, more enduring, more beautiful. When you say yes, you are trading what is temporary for what is eternal, trading brief comfort for lasting peace, trading what you cannot keep for what you cannot lose. I know that saying yes is not easy. It feels like letting go of the last rope while you are hanging over a chasm. But if you knew that I am holding firmly on the other side, you would understand that your step does not fall into emptiness. I will not let you fall. I will lift you onto higher ground, where your breathing eases, where your eyes are clearer, where your soul is no longer imprisoned by old patterns of thought. What you lay down today will make room for what I am preparing for you tomorrow. I want you to step into a larger life, a life no longer haunted by what is worn out and past. You think you are losing, but you are gathering yourself back. You think you are at a disadvantage, but you are beginning to overcome. You think something is being taken from you, but in truth you are opening your hands to receive something greater. Listen to me carefully. Not everything you release is a loss. There are things that, if you insist on keeping them, will be your loss. There are things you cling to that hollow out your soul. But there are things that, when you let them go, will cause you to be filled again in the way I intend you to be filled, filled with life, filled with strength, filled with freedom, filled with courage. I love you too much to stay silent while you live in what was never meant for you. I love you too much not to pull you out of the land where darkness has laid its traps. I love you too much to let you remain comfortable in things that will cause you to collapse later on. My child, it is time for you to place your hand in mine and let me lead. Let me lead you out of the haze, out of the whispering voices that exhaust you, out of the entanglements that have caused you to lose your voice, out of the thoughts that do not belong to life. Let me renew your heart, reset the rhythm of your breath, peel away each heavy layer in your soul. All you need is to begin with a single yes, a simple beginning that opens up an entirely new journey. The moment you agree to follow, darkness loses its hold on the place where it once clung to you. The moment you nod before me, every cord that has bound you begins to loosen. The moment you open your heart to me, heaven will open doors you never imagined could be yours. I am waiting for you, not to judge you, but to lift you up, not to blame you, but to heal you, not to take from you, but to give you more. And as you walk with me, you will see that I have never asked you to let go without already preparing something better to place in your hands. You need only one thing. Do not delay any longer. Say yes to me right now. It may seem small, but it will shake all of heaven. All you have to do is step out. I will take care of the rest. My beloved child, draw a little closer and sit with me, so that my breath can reach down into the depths where your heart trembles over the things you have not yet dared to put into words. I know the enemy has tried to silence your voice, to weaken the flow of life I placed within you from the very beginning. He understands that even the smallest sound from your soul is enough to shake what he is erecting in the dark, that a single plea rising from your lips is enough to topple the chains he has so carefully built over many years. Not because you are strong in the way you imagine, but because of what I placed in you before your mother even knew she was carrying you. Your voice is not merely breath, it is the very air I have breathed into you. That is what makes him tremble. That is what makes him so afraid that he cannot leave you alone. And it is because of that fear that he tries to wear you out, to break your focus, to load you down with so much weight that you forget who you once were. But my child, look a little deeper. None of the attacks he throws at you are random. They are calculated to strike on the days when you are weakest, in the moments when your heart is already covered in the scratch marks of life and of old experiences. He does not try to break you with a hammer. He uses whispers, distractions, and familiar thoughts that you assume are your own. He drips into your heart ideas that make you doubt the very light within you, that make you afraid to speak, that make you step back when I am urging you forward. Yet do not blame yourself for the times you find yourself silent. That is not weakness. It is only that you have forgotten your true strength. You have not yet remembered that I have placed within you a portion of my very self, a part no one can copy, no one can extinguish, no one can lose, no matter how hard they try. Do not see yourself as small. Do not think your prayers drift into the void and touch nothing. Do not imagine that your obedience is just a minor thing in a vast world. You cannot see what is taking place in the unseen realm, because I shield your eyes from the weight of it. But I see every ripple that rises when you say, Lord, please help me. I see spiritual walls begin to crack when you kneel in sincerity, even while your lips are trembling. I see dark clouds torn apart when you choose what is right, even when it means letting go of what you long to keep. You cannot see it, but I see it. And there are moments when I wish you could see it too, so that you would know how vital you are on this spiritual front line. What grieves me most is not how fiercely the enemy attacks you, but every time you think you are fighting alone, my child. There is not a single moment in your life when my eyes are not on you. When you feel as though you are sinking in deep waters, it is I who keep your head from going under. When you see the storm raging around you, it is I who surround you with arms no one can break through. When you lie down with a heavy heart, it is I who spread my hands beneath you. There is not a moment when you stand alone on the battlefield. There is not a battle you are meant to fight in your own strength. I have set a hedge of protection around you that darkness does not dare to cross. I give you my word as a sword. I place my spirit in your chest as a fire that never goes out. When you tremble, that fire still exists. When you grow weary, that fire still burns. When you collapse, that fire still shines, waiting for you to rise so it can blaze forth once more. You are not a flickering candle in the night. You are a flame I myself have breathed upon, placed in exactly the right time, the right generation, the right position. You are, my child, this never changes, no matter what you do, what you go through, or how weak you feel. You are the one I chose before anyone knew your name. You are the one I wrote into my book before this world took shape. You are the one I formed with the careful detail of a creator for whom nothing is accidental. You are the one I have covered, preserved, and graced, even when you had no awareness of my existence. You are the one I guide with just the glance of my eyes. I need only look in a direction, and your heart begins to lean that way, even before you understand why. Because you belong to me, my voice toward you always carries a tender urgency. I do not warn you to make you afraid. I awaken you because I know what you cannot yet see. I know where the wind will change. I know when the traps have been set. I know at which corner the enemy lies in wait and where his schemes begin. I speak beforehand not to weigh you down, but to shield you before things unfold. I do not wait until the storm breaks to tell you to run. I call you while the sky is still clear, so that you are not swept into the vortex he has prepared. That is why I am speaking to you tonight. That is why I stir you when your soul has grown sleepy. That is why I place within you a holy uneasiness, not anxiety, but a reminder that I am pulling you out of a place that does not belong to you. My child, do not treat my warnings lightly. Do not let delay become the reason you miss the moment when I open the way. Do not soothe yourself by saying, I can do it tomorrow, for darkness never waits for tomorrow. It lays traps in front of your steps. It moves while you are resting. It tightens snares when you are tired. It does not wait for you to be ready, for he knows that if you are just one beat too late, you will stand exactly where he wants to strike. And then you blame yourself for being weak. You are not weak. You have only stepped outside the timing in which I meant you to act. When I speak, you need to respond not because I am forcing you, but because the very moment I appoint is designed to protect you. I will keep speaking to you. I will keep reminding you. I will call your name. I will stir your heart day after day, minute by minute if I must. I will not stop simply because you are weak. I will not give up until you are completely free. I do not grow tired of protecting you. My love never diminishes. My patience never runs dry. I will follow you to the very end. I will stay with you through the days when you are strong and the days when you have no strength left at all. I will pursue you when you are lost, when you run, when you fall silent, when you are afraid. You cannot slip out of my hand, because I do not let you go. You cannot fall outside of my gaze, because I look upon you every second. You cannot leave my heart, because you have been in it since the very beginning. You belong to me. You are not being swallowed up. You are not forgotten. You are not pushed out of my heart. You are not lost in this world. No matter how hard the enemy tries to convince you otherwise, the truth does not change. You are mine, and I will pull you out of every snare, every darkness, every pit, every lie, every seductive call that leads you astray. I will lead you by my light. I will uphold you with my breath. I will wrap you in arms, wider than every doorway of darkness. You will rise, you will speak, you will step into the very places I have appointed, because you are not a wandering creature. You are the one I have called, I have chosen, and I have placed in this time to live out the mission that is yours. My beloved child, I want you to open your heart slowly so you can fully hear what I am about to say, because this is not only for today, it is for the long journey ahead of you. I am not speaking in haste or out of anger. I am speaking with the patience of a father who sees his child standing at the crossroads between light and darkness, longing for you to choose the path that leads to life. When I say, listen, it is not because I doubt your ability, but because I know your heart has grown weary after many hidden battles. You are carrying so much you do not speak of, many questions you keep concealed, and many tears you swallow back. I see it all, and I want you to know that in the midst of all the noise of this life, my voice is still gentle enough to lift you up, strong enough to pull you back from the edge, and true enough that you will not mistake it for any other voice. Keep your heart at peace, because what I am about to speak is not a burden, but a light for your path. You are not merely reading lifeless lines of text. You are receiving the breath of the very one who created the universe, the one who called the earth by name, who set the seas in their place, and who still knows every beat of your heart. Not a single thought of yours is hidden from me, not a single crack in your heart escapes my notice, and not one of your steps is beyond my measure. I speak to you because I know your worth is far greater than what you have ever believed. I speak to you because I see what you cannot yet see. Within you there is a strength that has not been awakened, a voice that has not been fully used, and an identity that the enemy has been trying to distort for many years. You think you are just a small person among many, but in my eyes, you are the child who carries my mark, my promise, and the authority I placed in you before your eyes ever opened to this world. My child, the enemy never wastes his time attacking empty souls. He only goes after those who carry true value. He does not spend effort on those who pose no threat to darkness. He fixes his gaze on those who bear a light capable of destroying his works. That is why he has pursued you since the days when you did not even know how to resist. He knows I have a plan for you. He knows you carry my sanctification. He knows you are appointed to break chains over your family line. And because he cannot touch what I have anointed, he resorts to one thing, making you doubt yourself. You see, he rarely uses brute force. He uses subtlety. He whispers into the places where you have been wounded, exploits memories that have not yet been healed, and stirs up the areas of your heart you have not surrendered to me. He knows that if you believe those lies long enough, you will begin to live smaller, withdraw further, grow quieter, until you forget the heavenly calling woven into your very being. You imagine he comes with obvious temptations, but no. He comes through the things that are hardest for you to recognize, a passing thought that looks like it came from you, a nameless feeling that makes you reluctant to pray, a small habit that causes you to miss our time of conversation, a look that makes you shrink back, a sweet compliment that gently shifts you away from depending on me, a relationship that feels warm but does not draw you closer to the light. He does not need to hurl you into darkness all at once. He only needs to nudge you away little by little, until the distance between us feels normal to your soul. It is exactly those small steps, the ones you consider insignificant, that form his strategy. I want you to see clearly. He does not have the authority to drown you, but he is cunning enough to make you let go of your own grip. He fears my name upon you, so he cannot force you. He trembles before my Holy Spirit dwelling within you, so he cannot launch a direct assault. He knows my blood covers you, so he cannot destroy you. Therefore he searches for the one path left to him: deception. Deception through delay. Deception through the feeling that it's no big deal. Deception through half-hearted choices. Deception wrapped in sugared invitations. Deception by causing you to treat my voice lightly, not because you are weak, but because he knows that if you truly awaken, he will have no ground left to stand on. That is why I must speak plainly to you, like a father pulling his child away from the railway tracks before the train arrives, when the screeching of the wheels is already enough to make the ground shake. Do not underestimate the power of a single choice. One choice that seems small can have two whole realms standing behind it. One tiny decision can open up an influence far wider than you imagine. A single yes to what is right can open the doors of heaven. A single yes to what is wrong can open a door for him to step in. You say, just this once, but I see behind it a whole chain of times yet to come. I look deep into your future, into the intersections you are approaching, and I know precisely the moments when you need to be vigilant. That is why I teach you discernment, not to make you suspicious of everything, but so you may know which voice is mine and which voice is counterfeit. Do not be quick to trust whatever appears to be right. Not everything that shines carries my light. Not every invitation comes from me. Not every open door is meant for you to walk through. There are things he offers only to keep your heart preoccupied. There are people he sends just to shift you off course by a small degree. There are opportunities that look like blessings, but are truly skillful distractions. There are thoughts he plants and then makes you believe they are your own. You cannot discern purely by feeling. You can only truly discern by remaining close to me. I tell you to ask me not to keep you dependent in an unhealthy way, but to guard you from things that lie far beyond the reach of your limited understanding. Pause before every important decision. Let your heart grow quiet. Ask me before you speak, before you agree, before you begin, before you sign, before you enter into a new bond. My spirit is within you, not to remain silent, but to guide you. My light goes before you, not for decoration, but to expose all that is hidden. My word in you is not a small opinion among many. It is the compass for the path you must walk. Do not be afraid of listening to me. Do not fear that I will only say what you do not want to hear. I do not come to take away what is truly good from you. I come to protect what is far more precious than you can see right now. You think that if you ask me, I will tell you to abandon what you like, but I only cut off what will suffocate your voice, your identity, and your future. I do not take away true joy. I remove the counterfeit joys. I do not strip you of what brings life. I remove what is slowly corroding your soul. You never lose when you listen to me. You only gain. I am calling you back to clarity, not to restrict you, but to restore to you the ability to recognize my voice in every season. When you become familiar with discernment, you will no longer be easily deceived. When you become accustomed to asking me, you will stop stumbling over the same old places. When you learn to walk under the leading of my Holy Spirit, you will know exactly where you stand, what stands before you, and whether you should step forward or step back. And when you are standing in the place that is rightfully yours, no power can pull you off the path I have ordained. You are the child I love. You are the one in whom I have placed my trust. You are the one to whom I have entrusted a mandate in your generation. I do not say this to make you proud. I say it so you will understand that you can no longer live by your emotions, drifting as they please. He wants to blur you. I want to bring you into sharp focus. He wants to keep you in the shadows. I want to thrust you into the light. He wants you to live like someone anonymous. I want you to live as one I have sent. You cannot cling to my voice and hold on to his words at the same time. You must choose. And I know that with my spirit in you, you will choose well. Hold tightly to my hand. I go before you. I cover your back. I guard your left side and surround your right. I appoint my angels to watch over you in the night. I place my fire within you so that your heart will not go out. You are not walking alone, and because you do not walk alone, I want you to walk firmly upon what is true. Walk not in haste, but with clarity. Walk not in fear, but in watchful awareness. Let my words sink deeper than each breath you take. Let my voice be the first sound you recognize whenever your heart begins to tremble. Let discernment become your habit, so that the enemy has no place left to slip in. Remember this, he is only strong when you do not listen to me. But when you listen to me, even to the smallest word, the darkness must retreat. And now is the time I set you on a new journey. A journey of standing in your true identity, no longer distorted, no longer deceived, no longer reduced. You are no longer one who is easily manipulated by a wrong whisper. You are one who carries my breath, carries my grace, carries my light. You are the one I have chosen to speak on my behalf, to stand in my place, and to shine in the very place where I have positioned you. Be ready, for from here on, I will lead you into a season in which your voice, the voice I have restored, will break chains that the previous generation could not break. You are no longer someone who is led around. You are one whom I myself send. You are no longer a victim of lies. You are a bearer of truth. You are no longer called by names you do not deserve. You are called by the name I, myself, have given you. You are the anointed one who stands. And when you stand, every work of darkness must recognize to whom you belong. My beloved child, as I lead you into this season of separation, it is not a stage for you to shrink back in fear or confusion, but a journey in which I refine and purify all that belongs to you, so that you may stand in the fullest beauty I have ordained. You think that separation leaves you with fewer people, less familiarity, fewer supports that once held you up, but in truth, I am removing from you the tangled knots you did not realize had bound you for so long. Quietly, I peel those layers away, the layer of expectations that do not come from me, the layer of relationships that secretly drain you while wearing a gentle appearance, the layer of thoughts formed out of wounds rather than out of light, the layer of habits repeated from fear rather than from faith. Each layer I remove makes you feel emptier than before, but it is precisely that emptiness that becomes the space for me to fill with my very life. I am not leading you into a void to leave you adrift. I am bringing you into a holy place so that I can pour into your heart what you have never known before, a peace that cannot be shaken, a joy without conditions, a strength that does not come from striving but from my presence. Pay attention. Every time I pull you out of something, at first you always feel discomfort. You feel unsettled when you sense me holding you back. You feel the letdown when I close a door you had once begged me to open. You feel puzzled when I take you around the long way instead of straight ahead as you wished. But, my child, I have never closed a door except when there is something behind it that your eyes cannot yet see. Many times I have stopped you from taking a step that seemed good, because just a little further and you would have fallen into a trap you were not clear-eyed enough to recognize. Many times I have allowed you to be uncomfortable, not to punish you, but to protect you from unfaithful hands, from deceptive voices, from paths that lead into a weariness I never wanted you to carry. I know how easily you are swayed by what is sweet but dangerous. I know how quickly you trust what sounds empathetic, but in truth, weighs your heart down. I know you are so sensitive that even the smallest words can cause your heart to shrink back. It is precisely because I know all of this so well that I must set you apart, not to leave you isolated, but to place you in a safe space where I can wash away everything that does not belong to. Remember that light and darkness cannot dwell together in the same house. I will never allow mixture to make you fade into dullness. You were not created to be dim. You were created to shine, to blaze out in the very context where many no longer recognize what light truly is. But for you to shine, I must remove from you the things that blur that light. Sometimes it is a relationship pulling your heart toward despair. Sometimes it is a habit through which you keep draining your own strength. Sometimes it is a dark cycle of thoughts you chew on again and again until your heart is exhausted. Sometimes it is old memories that convince you you are unworthy of the goodness I am pouring out. I will not let you hold on to these things any longer, not because I want you to lose, but because I want you to receive what is truly mine, what you cannot take hold of if your hands are still clinging to what is old. You have walked through moments when I know you thought I was silent. You have had nights when your tears fell and you did not realize I heard every sob. You have had times when you bowed your head and believed that no one could see how tired you were. But I have seen, long before you could even name your pain, you have never cried alone. You have never collapsed without me standing right beside you. Many times I did not answer at once, not because I ignored you, but because I was shifting things at a deeper level, where answers heard by the ear could not resolve anything, but my comfort could set you free. It was precisely in the hours when you thought you were at your limit that I placed within you a strength whose source you could not explain. You thought you stood up by yourself, but in truth it was the moment I lifted you. Do you remember how many times I have stepped into your life in ways you never expected? When others rejected you, I opened a door no one could shut. When you were misunderstood and your heart grew heavy, I sent you a word of comfort at just the right time. When you believed you were no longer enough, I filled you in a way that only I can. When snares crept close to you, I broke them before you even knew they existed. There are things you called luck, which in reality were my protection. There are things you called coincidence, which in truth were plans I wrote before you ever knew who I was. You are alive today not because you are strong enough, but because I have never left you, my child. Look back and see. Not every time you stumbled did I let you fall. Not every time you were weak did I let you be lost. Not every time you were late did I withdraw my hand. I have been more patient with you than you have ever been with yourself. I have forgiven you more quickly than you have been able to forgive yourself. I have lifted you up many times when you did not even realize you were being held. I have protected you from invisible battles you have never seen, and if I were to show you everything I have prevented, you would understand how great my love truly is. It is this very love, the love that has followed you since before you could speak, that is addressing you in this very moment. And I want you to know that I do not change. My love does not come and go. I do not sometimes want you and sometimes not. I do not let you go halfway through the journey. What I begin, I will bring to completion, not by your strength, but by my mercy. You cannot ruin my plan for you as long as you remain in my hand. You may wander, but I do not wander. You may be weak, but I am not weak. You may be confused, but I am not confused. You may feel you have nothing left, but I still have everything with which to fill you. You are entering a new season, a season in which I will clarify your voice, in which I will restore the parts of you that were once stolen, in which I will awaken dreams you thought had died, in which I will mend what you believed could never be repaired. But before I rebuild, I must tear down. Before I heal, I must touch. Before I fill, I must empty. That is why I am separating you from what is old. That is why I am calling you into a private place with me. That is why I am closing doors you once wanted to keep open. You are not losing anything, you are simply being moved into a realm where darkness can no longer reach you in the old ways. Be at peace, for the hand that is leading you into this season is not a stranger's hand. It is the very hand that lifted you when you were exhausted, that wiped your tears when you had no words left, that made a way for you when every path seemed shut, that rescued you from pits you did not even know you were nearing. It is this same hand that is at work now, a faithful hand, a mighty hand, a hand that will never let you go. I will complete what I have begun in you. It is not you who will complete it, I will. It is not your strength that will be enough, mine will. It is not your perseverance that will hold you. My faithfulness will. And you will see, very soon, that everything I remove from you is only so that you may have room for things that are greater, deeper, brighter, and stronger. My child, be still in my hands. I am doing a new thing, and you will shine, not because you try, but because I place light into the deepest part of you. You will stand firm, not because you are strong, but because I hold your roots with a love that never changes. You will walk in power, not because you are capable, but because I chose you long before you knew how to stand. My child, you need to understand one thing very clearly. Every scheme that the darkness sets up can never go beyond the power with which I cover you. Even if it tries to distort your image, even if it whispers into the places where you have been wounded, even if it lays traps along the softest and most subtle paths, it still cannot break what I have written over your life. For before it began to calculate, I had already set boundaries around you. Before it sowed fear, I had already sown truth. Before it built its darkness, I had already lit the light. There is no plot strong enough to hold you when you choose to stand near me. There is no voice loud enough to drown out mine within you when you know how to rest your ear upon my chest. That is why you do not need to tremble before what human eyes consider terrifying. You do not need to panic when the darkness magnifies its own shadow. You do not need to shrink back as if you were smaller than what I have placed within you. What I desire from you is not frantic struggling in panic, but obedience in peace. You do not need to fight in your own strength. You only need to walk in step with my voice and let me fight for you. When you stand close to me, the traps that seem so clever become useless. When you incline your heart toward me, you will see that there are things I break apart before they can even come near your life. When you are under the shadow of my wings, the winds that seem so violent will only pass by and never touch your soul. Near me, you are not only kept safe from what is wrong, you are also guided into what is right. Near me, your feet are not only kept from stumbling, you also step exactly into the places I have marked for your calling. You do not know this, but every time you find yourself spared from a decision that would have shattered you, that is when I am pulling you back from a cliff you cannot see. Every time you feel able to walk away from what is unhealthy and you do not understand where the strength came from, that is when my hand is gently pushing you from behind. Near me, you are led slowly but surely. Near me, you are kept safe without being stained by fear. My dear child, what makes the enemy hate your life is not simply that you are in my hands, but that you carry within you a calling I engraved long before you knew your first breath. You were not created just to pass quietly through this world. You were created to carry a portion of my light into every place where your feet step. You were formed to become a living word, a presence before which darkness must draw back, a person who will stand up for those who are weaker, a bearer of healing to broken hearts. You do not only carry my breath, you carry the message I have entrusted to you. Not everyone on this earth bears a portion like yours. That is why you go through battles that are different from others. That is why you must endure deeper trials. That is why you must walk roads that seem far too long, because your soul is being prepared for something greater than what your natural eyes can see. Many times you ask me, why do I have to fight so much? Why do I feel more tired than others? Why am I always tested, right where I am weakest? You ask because you think that your weariness is a sign that you are not strong enough, but in my eyes it is the sign that you are in the process of being trained to stand in a place where not everyone can stand. You think that pain is a sign you have been abandoned, but in my eyes it is the place where I am forging your soul so it can carry weight without breaking. You think that opposition is punishment, but in truth, it is evidence that you are standing exactly in the position to which I have called you. Those who do not carry a calling rarely face great battles. You face storms only because within you is the capacity to make those storms grow quiet by the very fact of your presence. You are not an ordinary person, and the enemy knows that far more clearly than you do. You need to know this. The nights when you feel the darkness thicker than ever are not because I am far from you, but because the enemy is in panic when it realizes you are about to step into a completely different season. Every time you find yourself under fierce attack, that is not the moment when it has become stronger, but the moment when it is more afraid than ever. It is afraid that you will realize you carry light. It is afraid that you will realize you have a voice. It is afraid that you will recognize your true identity. It is afraid that one day you will stand up and give to others what it has tried to take from their hands. It is afraid that you will use your prayers. It is afraid that you will remember the words I have spoken over you. It is afraid that you will take your place in the very position where I have set you. And when it is afraid, it tries to distract you with battles that seem great, but are in fact so weak that a single breath from me is enough to make them vanish. My child, you do not know that on the nights when you sit alone and feel as if everything is about to shatter, I am looking at you with eyes full of tenderness. I do not stand far off and merely watch. I sit right beside you, my hand on your back, keeping you from falling. You do not see me, but every time you want to let go and yet feel a gentle warmth lifting you up, that is me. I have never allowed you to pass through a single moment of pain without my presence. I have never allowed you to enter any battle without first preparing a way out. You have never had to fight alone, and you never will. I want to say this to you with all the sincerity of a father. My grace is sufficient for you, not because you are strong, but because I will never let you take a single step in your own strength. My power is made most complete in your weakness. I do not wait for you to become strong enough before I use you. I use you right in the midst of your trembling. I do not require you to be perfect before I give you power. I give you power so that you can live fully in my presence. Every time you feel unworthy, I see you in the very state in which I can work in you the most, because in that moment you are not relying on yourself, but on me. I lay my hand upon your shoulder and tell you that I will lift you up every time you feel your footing give way. I will lead you through the noise of this world. I will teach you to hear my voice among 100,000 other echoes. I will protect you in ways you could never imagine. I will anchor your heart in my peace. I will pour my breath into your sleep. I will stand in front of the arrows you cannot see. I will station my angels along the paths you walk, so that not a single one of your steps is ever alone. My child, your identity is not found in the battles you face, but in the one to whom you belong. And when you belong to me, no darkness has the right to define you. You are not a hunted one. You are a bearer of a mission. You are not merely a survivor. You are one who will pull others back from the edge. You are not a nameless figure. You are one who is sent to make a way for life to reach desolate places. You do not merely get through, you will overcome. Not with shouting and noise, but with the deep, steady firmness of a soul anchored in me. You need only one thing to stay near me, not to strain yourself with endless effort, not to run around trying to prove anything. not to wrestle to seize victory, not to struggle to manage everything when you are exhausted. You only need to stay close enough to me that you can hear my heartbeat touching your own. Near me, you are not only protected, you are directed. Near me, you do not only walk rightly, you are lifted up every time you stumble. Near me, you do not only have strength, you have purpose. And I say this so you will etch it deep into your heart. When you are close to me, no snare is strong enough to hold you. No darkness is thick enough to blind you. No storm is great enough to overwhelm you. And no voice is loud enough to make you forget the sound of my calling. For you are not merely a child who is being kept, you are a child who is being sent on a journey that only you can fulfill. My beloved child, listen deeply within, for the words I am about to whisper into your soul will become new breath, causing your whole being to blaze like a flame that has never gone out. I have gone before you into mornings when no one has yet awakened, into the hidden corridors of tomorrow that no human eye can see, and I see clearly all that lies ahead. I see snares that appear gentle on the outside but hide sharp points within. I see crossroads that seem peaceful yet in truth conceal swamps. I see paths you have never even questioned, where darkness settles with a frightening patience. And because I know exactly what will slow your steps, what will weary your heart, what will make you bow your head in hesitation, I have opened for you a safe road not later, but in this very moment you are living. That road is not merely a way of escape. It is the path that leads you out of the unseen chaos that has long covered your mind. I do not pull you forward with pressure. I lead you with support. I do not shake you with fear. I awaken you with truth. Do not step backward. Do not hide in familiar dark corners. Do not seek comfort in what dulls your soul. Trust me, you who are loved by me with an unchanging love. I am breathing into you a strength you never knew you carried. I am peeling away every murky layer that tiredness, distraction, and twisted whispers have spread over your mind. I am loosening the invisible knots that have bound you to a lingering sense of being lost. Do not think that you cannot. Even now I am renewing your breath, giving you fresh strength like a phoenix stretching its wings from the ashes. You will begin to see a stream of light slip through every crack of darkness you once believed could never be broken. You will feel a peace that no longer comes from forced silence, but from my clear leading. I will make your spirit sharp again so you can discern what is my call, what is the disguise of the enemy, what is the echo of old wounds, and what is the voice of truth's gentle instruction. You will know the steps you need to take, not in panic, but with the certainty of one who is guided by a torch lit from heaven. When you stand at a crossroads, your heart will long for what is right, because my spirit within you will rise like a clear, powerful stream, washing away the muddy currents that fear once left behind. You will no longer be confused between opposing voices, no longer paralyzed when faced with choices that once seemed too difficult. I will shine my light so you clearly see which doors must be closed, even if those doors once gave you a fragile sense of safety. I will help you look straight at the bonds that have drained you, and you will know from whom you must step away, not in anger, but with the peace of one who understands the truth and no longer needs to cling to what was never truly theirs. I am renewing your heart in a way you have never known before, not by forcing you, but by setting you free. You will feel burdens fall away, things you once believed you had to carry, though they were never meant for your shoulders. I never created you to endure a storm of chaotic voices every night. I never desired you to live, wrapped in confusion, like a garment stuck to your skin, making every step feel like wading through mud. I never intended for fear to define how you see yourself. You belong to me, and that is not a weak consolation. It is an unchangeable truth that neither heaven nor earth can overturn. You were not bought with the pretty things of this world, but with the highest price I chose to pay, my very life. You were sealed, not by human approval, but by my Holy Spirit. You bear my name, not the name of failure, and you are hidden in my hand, where no power can enter to snatch you away. My child, the time has come for you to rise from the shadows of doubt, from the ashes of words that have weighed down your heart for so many years, from old stories that once tore your confidence apart. Every lie that has ever been sown into you through the voices of others, or through the quiet whispers you mistook for your own thoughts, I am uprooting each one to its very root. I am blowing the dust off your true identity. You are not a nameless one. You are not a wanderer. You are not a fragile soul without direction. You are the one I have chosen. You are the one I called before you knew how to call my name. You are my mark upon this world. You are the light I have lit in the darkest season. And the darkness has no desire for you to know this, because the moment you truly know, you will never again return to being a silent captive. So now, stand up with the understanding that I am renewing your whole life. Do not give a place to the words that once crushed you. Do not allow the past to hold your feet another moment. Do not let fear bind your soul. Step out of the old garment and put on what I am placing upon you: clarity of mind, strength of spirit, sharpness in every choice, and freedom in every step. You are no longer walking alone. You are walking in my breath, in my embrace, under my covering. And as you walk this way, every falsehood will lose its voice over your life. Truth will make you strong, light will make you stand tall, and my love will make you unshakable. Lay down every lie, my child, for what I am giving you is greater than every loss, every fear, every wound, and every chain you once believed you had to carry. You were created to shine, to stand, to speak, to live fully, and I am calling you into exactly that right now. My dear one, let me lead you further, like a river that never stops, flowing straight from the words I have just placed in your heart, only this time, deeper, clearer, filled to overflowing with my life and my breath. Open your heart, for what I am about to say will be like warm fire touching the coldest places within you. I want you to understand that this is not merely a reminder. It is guidance, a path, a protection woven from my very love for you. Every word I speak is not to bind you, but to cut away every strand that has been quietly exhausting your soul. Let me draw you out of what no longer belongs to you. My child, the time has come for you to step out of the bonds you have grown accustomed to living with. Bondage is not always rough and obvious. Sometimes it arrives through familiarity, through memories, through old patterns of thought you once used just to survive. But, my child, I did not create you merely to survive. I created you to live strong, to live at peace, to live in my light without being held back by anything that has ever pressed down your heart. You must boldly release those cords, not because you have to be strong enough, but because I am standing right before you, ready to loosen each knot you no longer have the strength to untie. Lift up your eyes. Do not lower your head in shame. Do not look down believing you are unworthy. Have you forgotten who I am in your life? I am your father, not a distant father who stands far off in judgment, but a father who bends down to lift your chin, wipe away your tears, and set you upright in the very place I prepared for you before you were formed. I am the shield that covers you, the barrier between you and every invisible arrow flying toward you. The things you fear, the things you avoid, the things that unsettle you, none of these can touch you when you are in me. Do not let the world teach you who you are. I alone am the one who knows you more deeply than anyone ever could. I am the one who rescues you not only from what is outside, but from the very thoughts that have imprisoned you for years. You do not realize how many times you have bound yourself with words of self-accusation, with painful memories, with shapeless anxieties. I see you pacing within those narrow places. I see you trying to step out, only to shrink back again for fear of failing. You forget that deliverance does not come from your strength. It comes from my hand. I do not want you to struggle to open a door that has long since rotted. I want you to let me break it open for you, so that light rushes into the place you believed would never have a way out. I am your way, the path on which you never need to fear losing your way. You often worry that you have chosen the wrong direction, that you have taken the wrong step, that you will disappoint me. But my dear child, if you allow me to lead you, you cannot go wrong. Even when you stray, I will bring you back. Even when you stand still for too long, I will wait for you. Even when you walk more slowly than I desire, I still walk beside you. You do not take a single step alone. There is not a moment when I stand still and leave you groping in the dark by yourself. I go before you, I walk with you, and I also come behind you to shield you from what you cannot see. I am your truth. You do not have to live by what others say about you, much less by what the darkness whispers into your heart. Truth does not tremble, does not change, does not fade with passing emotions. Do you know how many times the darkness has thrown at you lies as soft as silk, so that you would believe they were your own thoughts? Yet, when those lies collide with me, they dissolve. You only need to stay close to me to know what is real and what is false. My truth does not push you away, does not make you afraid, does not silence you. My truth sets you free from burdens you were never meant to carry. I am your life, not merely your breath, but the very life force within you, the source of light that never goes out. My life in you does not change with sunny days or stormy days, with your moods, or with the praise or criticism of people. My life in you is firm as a mountain, vast as the sea, deep as the heart of the earth. I have placed that life within you, and no one can take away what I have given. My child, let your heart grow still. Do not let the noise around you distract you when I am speaking to you. I know there are so many things in your life pulling at your hands, your thoughts, your gaze, but, my dear one, none of them is more important than my voice. I do not speak to frighten you, but to keep you from falling into spirals I never wanted you to go through. If you listen to me, you will be spared so many unnecessary tears. If you listen to me, you will not be blinded by things that look good on the surface but leave your soul empty. I speak to you because I know what lies at the end of the road. I know the high mountains, the valleys, the bends your feet have never walked before. Every word I speak is like a seed. Do not treat it as some distant echo. When I speak, I sow, and when you open your heart, that seed falls into good soil. You do not need to see it sprout immediately. You do not need to understand at once what kind of tree it will become. You only need to keep the soil of your heart soft. My seeds never die. Some seeds sprout in a day, some in a year, some only when the soil of your heart is ready. But when they grow, they become shade that shelters you from things you never saw coming. You do not have to resolve everything in a single night. You do not have to find an answer for every worry you carry. You only need to trust the one who is speaking to you. Trust that I see the whole landscape of your life, while you can only see a small corner. Trust that I know the true source of the fears you carry. Trust that I understand even the things you do not dare to put into words. You only need to believe that I am the one who will never let you go, no matter how many times you fall out of step. I see the ending of every story right from the beginning. I know clearly what you do not yet know. I see the turns in the road you have not yet taken. I see the dangers you have not yet noticed. And do not forget this, I do not only see them, I go before you into them. You do not enter anything where I have not already been. You do not step into any situation that I have not inspected beforehand. You do not face any trial for which I have not already prepared a way out. You are always safe when you are in me. Let these words soak into your heart as water seeps into the earth. You belong to me. You are covered by me. You are being led by me. And your future rests in my hands, not in the hands of fear, not in the hands of other people, not in the hands of the past. You may not see the whole road ahead, but as long as you still hear my voice, you will never be lost. My child, I want you to pause for a moment and look at yourself through my eyes, not through lenses scratched by wounds or by people's judgments. You are not someone tossed about by fate, nor are you the leftover fragments of dark days. You are not a person born merely to endure and then quietly fade away in the crowd. I have never called you by the name of weakness. I have never destined you to be a child forever straining under a burden, nor have I written in your story that you will be abandoned, forgotten, or crushed beneath voices that do not come from me. My child, every heartbeat in your chest is retelling the story I carved into your soul from the beginning of time. You are the one I have chosen, the one I have placed in my hands, the one into whom I have breathed my breath, the one I guard, the one I call with the language of love, the one at whom I look with delight, the one from whom I have never turned my face. You were not born out of randomness. You were woven by deliberate intention, by the tender care of one who never does anything half-heartedly. You are not forgotten among millions of souls. I remember you more clearly than you remember yourself. You are not so small that you dissolve into life. I have placed within you a light that no power can bury. You are a vessel I have chosen to be the dwelling place of my presence, not an old, discarded container, but a place I have cleansed, guarded, and filled with life. Within you is a strength you have not yet fully touched. Within you is a flame I breathed into you at the very moment I formed you in your mother's womb. You are a voice of hope, not just in a metaphorical sense, but in a real and living way. A single word you speak in obedience can tear apart the veil of gloom covering someone's life. One small act of yours can rescue a heart on the verge of collapse. Your very presence in a room can shift the spiritual atmosphere there, even when you are unaware of it. You are the reflection of my image, not a faint copy, but a living reflection, with breath, with will, with a heart that still trembles before what is good. That is why the darkness does everything it can to press you down, to make you doubt your own worth, to convince you that you are invisible, to make you believe that no one hears your voice, to make you feel shrunk and diminished in this life. It knows who you are, even more clearly than you yourself know. It sees the light within you and it trembles, so it tries to surround you with confusion, with lies, with experiences that drain your confidence, with memories that silence you. But the darkness cannot define you, my beloved. It can only cast shadows on the wall. It cannot touch the essence I have placed inside you. You are not concluded by chaos. You are anchored in my truth. And that truth never changes, that you are kept by my hand, and nothing is stronger than the hand that holds your life. I stand beside you in every breath, and I protect you even when you cannot see my protection. I guard every step you take, even when you think you are wandering aimlessly. There is something else I must tell you, and I say it with both the gentleness and the fierce resolve of one who loves you too deeply to stand still while you cling to what is exhausting your soul. Do not be afraid to let go of what I am asking you to lay down. It is not because I want to leave you lacking, but because I know there are things that at first seem to be an essential part of your life, yet, in the long run, they will narrow your freedom. There are parts of your life you hold on to, not because they are good, but because they are familiar. There are habits that make you feel less lonely, yet slowly dull your heart to life. There are people you cling to for fear of emptiness, while they are actually pulling you away from the path I have prepared. There are opportunities that seem to appear at the right time, but when I shine my light on them, they do not lead to peace, but to bondage. Some doors close not because you have failed, but because I am pulling you away from a path that would cause you to lose yourself. Some things fade over time not because you are lacking, but because I am turning down the volume of the noise that makes it hard for you to hear my voice. There are relationships I allow to blur because they no longer fit the maturity you are about to step into. There are conversations I allow to end because they only open doors for doubt. There are feelings I allow to die because they cannot walk alongside the future I am building for you. I know that when I take something away from you or ask you to lay something down, at first you feel empty, as if you have lost an important part of yourself, as if you were dropping something familiar that you once leaned on. I understand that feeling. Human hearts easily grow attached to what has been beside them for a long time, whether good or bad. But do not confuse an empty space with a loss. The space I create is fertile ground where something new can grow. Emptiness is not a lack, it is preparation. I will not leave you without anything you need for the journey ahead. I only remove the things that, if kept too long, would become a barrier, even a great shadow blocking the light I give you. I am pruning you, like a gardener cutting away branches that no longer bear fruit, so that the other branches may grow stronger. Pruning has never been comfortable, but it always produces results. Every single thing I cut away has a reason. Everything I remove is to exchange for something greater. Do not regret what I let fall from your life. Do not cling to what I have already decided to put away. Do not mourn over the doors I close. The door I close is one I know will lead to a pain you cannot yet foresee. The door I open is where you should fix your eyes. Believe that. My hand remains gentle even when you feel it is too strong. I never lay my hand on you to make you collapse. I touch you to set you firmly on your feet. I never take anything from you without having prepared something better ahead. You may not see the ending, but I see clearly every step all the way to the very end. And I promise you this. My plans will always lead you to a place of peace, to a place where you recover your freedom, to a place where your soul is spacious and bright, to a place where the light within you can blaze in its fullness. You only need to trust me a little more and release your grip on what has reached its expiration in your life. When you let go, I will lift you up. When you agree to loosen your hold, what I have prepared will begin to find its way to you. When you no longer cling to what I am removing, you will feel your life grow lighter in a way you have never known. And then you will understand that I never truly took anything from you. I only brought you back to the very form I intended for you from the beginning. Step into the new with an open heart, my dear one, for that new thing has been waiting for you for a very long time. My beloved child, come close and let your heart rest in the rhythm of my breath, for everything you are carrying inside those hurts from being misunderstood, those moments when you feel you stand alone on the path of obedience. I see more clearly than anyone. I know there are days you struggle to stand firm in the midst of a crowd that does not understand what I am doing inside you. I know there are times you turn away from what once felt familiar just because my voice told you to stop, and then the very people you love begin to question why you have changed. I also know there are moments when you force a smile as you listen to their words, even though something in you trembles a little, because you do not want them to think you are distant or pretending to be more spiritual than they are. I see that worry. I hear that sigh. I know every thought you swallow down to avoid an argument. But, my child, remember something deeply. A person walking in my calling will always take steps that others cannot immediately understand. What I speak to you is not a general command for everyone. It is a personal word to your own heart. So do not be surprised when others do not see what you see. Do not be saddened when they do not feel the urgency I have placed within you. Do not grow discouraged when they think you are too much, too cautious, or too serious. They do not hear my voice as you do. They do not see the direction I show you as you see it, and they do not feel the fire I have lit in your chest. You are not living to gain their agreement. You are living to please me. You are not carried along by the current of the crowd. You are following the current of the Holy Spirit. You are not walking by what seems convenient to the eye. You are walking by my leading. And every time you choose to obey before you understand fully, every time you choose to turn away from the invitations of the world in order to guard your heart, every time you step back from something everyone else calls harmless, but you know I am warning you about, heaven records each of those steps. You do not see it, but I do. I see your quiet faithfulness. I see the faint tremor in your heart when you have to say no, even though you fear disappointing someone. I see the times you give up something you like because you sense I am asking you to be careful. And I will not let that obedience become meaningless. I will reward you in the way I know is right. I will lift you up at the very moment others think there is nothing noteworthy about you. I will defend you before those who once doubted you, not to make them ashamed, but so they can see my hand upon your life. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. You do not need to make everyone understand right away. You do not need to justify or prove anything. You only need to walk in the light I shine for you and leave the seeing and understanding to me. I am the one who turns hearts. I am the one who brings truth to light. I am the one who enables others to see what they could not see before. I am the one who protects your name in the very moments you remain silent. And you can trust that the silence of a person who obeys often carries farther than the noise of someone striving to prove they are right. And as you walk on that path, I will not leave your heart to bear its wounds alone. The hurts you have carried from long ago, the betrayals that caused your heart to shut down, the abandonments that made you believe you were not worthy of love, the times you were belittled that led you to question your own value, the disappointments that made you afraid to hope again. I am touching each wound, one by one. Nothing in you is too far for me to heal. No pain in you is too deep for me to lay my hand upon. No memory in you is too old for me not to hear the way it is still affecting you. You think those things are behind you, but they have not truly left. They only lie still beneath the layers of time, waiting for a fragile moment to rise up again and twist your heart once more, and then you blame yourself for still hurting, as if it were the first day. You feel ashamed that you still remember. You feel weak because those memories can still steal your breath. But my child, I do not see that as weakness. I see it as the very place where I want to touch you most deeply. I do not only want you to live correctly, I want you to live healed. I do not only want you strong in your actions, I want you strong in your inner being. I want you out of the trap. I want you free from every voice that ever made you tremble. I am drawing you out of your old wounds. I am using my love to press gently around every crack left by past events. I am speaking truth over every lie the enemy planted in your hurting places. When he whispers that you have been abandoned, I say you are cherished. When he says you are rejected, I say you are chosen. When he says you cannot come back, I say you are being rebuilt, piece by piece. When he says you are too damaged to stand, I say you are being made whole again in my hands. Not a single word he speaks about you is true. Everything I say about you is the only foundation on which you are to walk. Let my healing soak in so deeply that what once made you tremble will no longer have power over you. Let my love go deeper than the pain so it has no place left to hide. Let my voice grow louder than the memories that once exhausted you. Each time you open your heart a little more, my healing oil is poured out again. Each time you allow me to touch the place you fear the most, my light spreads further. Each time you believe what I speak over what your pain says, another link in the chain snaps and falls away. You are no longer marked by your past. You are being sealed by my hand. You are no longer one who carries broken pieces. You are the one I am fitting back together to become more beautiful than before you were ever hurt. And you no longer have to live curled in on yourself, trying to protect your heart from being wounded again. You will stand within my protection, where no one and nothing can touch your heart beyond what I permit. You have been wounded, but you are no longer the wounded one. You have been rejected, but you are not the forsaken. You have fallen before, but you are not a failure. You are, my child, and only that name has the right to decide who you become. My beloved child, open your heart deeply to listen to every word I am about to speak, for this is not only a word of comfort, but a word that lays the foundation for your whole future. Do not let the darkness blur your understanding for even one more moment, for what I am about to say does not come from fear, but from power, from protection, and from a love far beyond what you can comprehend. I do not leave you to face any season of your life on your own. Every day ahead of you has already been held in my hand before you ever took your first step into it. I am the one who goes before you, stands beside you, and guards behind you. Therefore, do not let anxiety tear your heart apart any longer. The future is not a dark place where you must grope your way forward in fear. The future is the land where I have already stood before you, where I have prepared every opportunity, every encounter, every turning point, every prayer you have not yet found words to speak. You cannot see the whole picture, but I see it all, and because of that, you can walk forward without trembling. My child, do not let tomorrow become a shadow that darkens your present. Do not let what you do not yet know become a burden that weighs heavy on your mind. You were not created to live in worry. You were born to walk in trust. I hold tomorrow, not so that you would anxiously try to control it, but so that you would know you cannot lose your way while my hand is holding you. What frightens you in your imagination will never be greater than the power I am working in reality. Every upheaval, every change, every surprise must pass through my permission, and when I allow something, it is not to harm you, but to build you, to shape you, to mature you, and to bring you into the exact place I have appointed for you from the very beginning. The enemy always seeks to distort the picture of the future before your eyes. He wants you to see tomorrow as something terrifying, vague, and ready to rob you at any moment. He wants you to live under the tension of the worst possibilities, so that your heart is always shaking, your faith is always wavering, and you are always wondering if you will hold up or not. He paints dreadful scenes in your imagination just so that you forget there is one who is covering you every moment. But my child, everything he exaggerates is a lie. Nothing happens outside of my sight, whether great or small. Nothing slips out from under my covering, whether night or day. Nothing goes beyond my power, whether it is a trial or a sudden event. You are inside my shield. You have been placed within a protection that darkness cannot pierce. You are afraid because you look at the future with your own limited eyes. But if you could see with my eyes, you would realize it is not a land of insecurity, but a place overflowing with what I have already prepared. Paths you have not yet walked, but I have already gone ahead on. Doors you have not yet seen, but I have already opened. People you have not yet met, but I have already sent. Blessings you have not yet received, but on which I have already written your name. You are not stepping into tomorrow with empty hands. You are stepping into tomorrow with my very presence beside you. You will not walk alone, not for a single second. My spirit will be your strength where you are weak. My wisdom will be your light where you lack understanding. My hand will be your guidance where you are unsure. And my peace will be the garment covering your heart whenever you must face things that lie beyond your ability to predict. Let this be clear in your heart. Every door I open is an answer to prayers you thought I had forgotten. None of your prayers are lost. None of your sighs are ignored. None of your tears fall in vain. When you obey me, you will see those doors appear, not with loud noise, but with a deep peace settling in your soul. Doors of grace for things you do not deserve, yet I freely give. Doors of wisdom that keep you from taking wrong turns. Doors of peace that lead you into places where you are no longer bound by fear. Doors of influence that carry your voice to places you never expected. Doors of protection so you are not harmed by things that the natural eye cannot perceive. But my child, All of these things are tied to a choice you must make in this very moment, not tomorrow, not when you feel stronger, not when every sign is clear. Right now, this very moment, when I am warning you, when I am reminding you, when I am calling your name, when I am placing my hand upon your heart and asking you to face the right direction. This moment is the turning point of an entire season. When you obey me now, you are aligning your path with what I prepared long before you knew how to ask. When you step away from the trap that is sweetly luring you, you are stepping into the protection I have already set in place. When you say no to what is counterfeit, you are opening the door for what is genuine and truly yours. When you close the wrong door, the right one will open on its own without you striving to force it. You think your decision today affects only you, but I see how it affects those you will support in the future, the prayers you will sow, the lives you will touch, the walls you will break down. I speak to you with all my love. Do not let fear steal the season I have ordained for you. The future is not something to be feared. The future is where I am standing, waiting for you. Tomorrow is not vague. Tomorrow is the part of the story I am still writing for you. The unknown is not a chasm. It is the space where you will see how I move. There is only one thing you need: obedience. That is all. When you obey, you stand in the beam of my blessing. When you obey, you step into the rhythm of heaven. When you obey, you automatically slip out of the intricate schemes that darkness has laid out. You do not need to win by your own strength. You only need to stand in the right place, and I will fight for you. My child, do not tremble before things that have not yet come. Place each of your steps in my hand. I will walk with you. I will cover you. I will make the way. I will uphold you. I will protect you. And I will fulfill what I have promised for you belong to me, and nothing can change that. Take courage and keep moving forward. Tomorrow is not waiting to sow fear. Tomorrow is waiting to pour out blessing. You only need to walk with me. You only need to hold my hand, and you will see there is no future to fear when I am the one already standing there before you. Now, open your heart wide and bring before me the deepest whispers of your soul, so that I may touch every need, every pain, every longing within you. Almighty God, I come to you with an unhidden heart. Please see the things I cannot put into words. Reach into the deepest places of my soul, the places where I still carry old scars, where I have hidden fears, where I avoid memories because I think they have fallen asleep. Lord, pour your light into every one of those places so that nothing in me remains an open door for lies. Teach me to step into complete healing, not rushed, not afraid, not running away from myself, but returning to your embrace, where every weakness is transformed into strength. Lead me into the peace that the world cannot understand and cannot take away from me. Father, I kneel under the shadow of your wings and ask you to search every layer of my thoughts. There are things I have not dared to face, inner wrestlings that quietly exhaust my heart. Please, set me free from the entanglements I have carried for far too long. Father, pull up by the roots every word that once made me shrink back, that caused me to live smaller than what you intended for me. Pour fresh oil over old wounds so they no longer dictate my reactions. Restore my heart that has trembled, and place your courage right where I once felt the weakest. Father, I thank you for every moment I thought I was walking alone, when in truth, you had gone before me, walked beside me, and followed behind me to keep me safe. I thank you for every door you closed, though I did not understand at first. Looking back, I now see it was love. I thank you for the things you stopped so I would not fall into traps. Thank you that you never grow weary of keeping me close to the light. Everything that still stands in my life today is only because of your faithfulness. I thank you that you see potential in me when all I see is my smallness. Thank you that you lift my voice, heal the places that once silenced me, and give back the worth that life tried to steal. Thank you that you call me chosen, even when I feel ordinary. I thank you that you not only save my soul, but also call me into a journey that has meaning, purpose, and mission. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.